Good morning, I'm Larry Steinhouse, and welcome to Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is a politically charged stock market pre-show giving you the politics behind the biggest moves in the stock market. It is presented with comedic common sense by an expert in financial literacy, and hey, that's me, Larry Steinhouse. Today is Tuesday, March 15th, and of course I want to welcome you to the show. We are here live on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia, and we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Of course, you can find me on Facebook, TikTok, and other social media by searching Larry Steinhouse. I'm also on Truth Social, so if you want to take a look at that as well, just search Larry Steinhouse. Hey, just a reminder, if you're watching online, hit that like button, hit that share button, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Money Chat Now page on Facebook. Hey, you can comment live during the show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and please say hi, so I know you're watching. I'm going to say hello to Moshe and Joe. Thanks so much for tuning in right from the beginning. Oh, awesome. You guys get the gold star today. Hey, by the way, if you're commenting from a group and it's not the Money Chat Now fan page, your name may not show up my dashboard, so please go to the Money Chat Now page and comment there so I can recognize you and give you the recognition you deserve, like Lewis and Bill. Thanks, guys. I totally appreciate you. Hey, you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday by going to investorschooling.com, and there you will learn about real estate investing and stock option trading from those who do it every day. All right, on today's show, we have the futures update, we have the Russian trade status, and we have an interesting question: is Wells Fargo racist? You guys want to stick around for that one. That's really interesting. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. So, when the Dow closes up 1 point and you're happy about it, it means the market is definitely working against you lately. 1 point. That's all it closed up yesterday was 1 point. Holy moly, man, that's crazy. So the NASDAQ actually got slaughtered and it was down 262 points and the S&P was down 31 points. All of this to start off the week that many, including myself, would start a recovery. So what's going on? Well, mostly it's fear. It's fear that the war. It's the fear. First of all, the fear that the war isn't there anymore. Basically, so people aren't afraid of the war anymore, and the unknown of interest rates is rising isn't there either. So what are they afraid of, and what might it be? So some are afraid it might be a bigger interest rate hike than 0.25%. So the Fed says they're going to raise interest rates 0.25%. Some saying it's possible they'll raise it 0.5%. I totally doubt that's going to happen. Look, the Fed definitely wants to slow down inflation, and because they waited so long, some feel they may have to make up for it in a hurry. I've been saying it for years. They should have been raising the interest rates the last 6 years, just a little bit, maybe 0.25 point a year, whatever, but they lowered it so little that now they have to catch up. I still don't believe it's going to happen, but that's the problem with the market. I believe the money managers and the investors are simply coming to the conclusion that this administration will continue to surprise them with off-the-wall and stupid policies that limit the potential of the market. So that's basically what I think the market is reacting to. You could call it the Biden effect if you want to. When you add that to the obvious fact that trees don't grow to the sky and the market has just been hot for too many years, that might just be it. It might just be the investors are waiting for the right moment to re-enter. So when is the right moment then? You always got to remember that you can never buy at the bottom. In fact, it's been 2 times in 12 years that I can remember buying a stock at the absolute bottom. It's tough. It's just not going to happen. You have to go with your gut and decide if the stock is fundamentally sound, and if it is, it'll always come back. Stock options make it a little more difficult because they're timed. You have a certain amount of time to make that decision or for that to happen. So if the stock to go up, if you have calls, you have a certain amount of time, and it makes it a little more difficult. And if your stock doesn't come back in time, your option expires and you lose your entire investment. So that's a little bit more difficult. And honestly, it's happened to me before, and I'm going to expect it to happen again from time to time. You can't always make a good play. If I could always make a good play, I'd be hanging out with Elon Musk right now as the second richest person in the world. The tough part is sitting back and deciding what is best for your portfolio. Look, if you're risk averse, you might want to sit the next year out and just park your money in a CD at 1 or 2% interest. Gold and silver will also be slow plays, and I would suggest maybe an ETF like SLV or GLD. I'm going to get into some of the other things driving the market shortly, but remember that even in an average bear market, so the timing period for an average bear market is typically a couple of months, The longest ones last a year. We are definitely in correction territory now, and it could lead to an absolute bear market, or it could just settle in this range. If you understand ranges, this concept is basically one that will help you get in and out of and make some quick hit money fast. I do this with stock options, but it can also be done with stocks. So, some notable stock moves yesterday included Apple, which was down 2.5%, and it was one of the top decliners in the Dow yesterday, actually. So the company, by the way, leads tech stocks lower, and here's what's going on. Believe it or not, COVID-19 is once again in the news. Why? Because Ukraine isn't important anymore, I guess, right? So there's a COVID-19 outbreak in China, and it spurred concerns that pandemic restrictions could exacerbate the existing supply chain woes there. So we had problems with supply chain before. It may happen again. Honestly, it's such crap. But if the Chinese government wants to make it the reason that, his people stay in poverty and not grow, so they can depend on the government, so be it. Netflix also fell below its 52-week high, putting it in the range that it was pre-pandemic. I'm going to tell you that most of the pre-pandemic pops have shrunk back to or below their pre-pandemic levels. Some of them got slaughtered. We have Zoom that went from 400 at its peak about a year ago, and it closed below 95 yesterday. Peloton has dropped from a high of 162 to now 20. By the way, I believe this stock is going to be a single-digit stock, and then it'll wait for a buyout by Google, Apple, or maybe Facebook. So if it hits single digits and you want to take the risk, I'm telling you, it hits single digits, buy it, just hold on to it and wait for the buyout. Even Ford is back to the $15 range, and frankly, I expect it to drop a little bit further. I might expect this to go maybe between 11 and 15. The energy stock play is over now, and the energy stocks are also moving down. Oil dropped below $100 a barrel, and now I think it's around 94. Hey, gas stations, lower your prices. Of course, all the Chinese stocks are down, and we have no way to recover until President Xi is ousted, and that will probably not happen because the dictator has full control over everything, including the fact that he will determine that he can run for re-election even though he's served the maximum terms allowed. He will just change the law. It's amazing, right? It sounds like the Democrat Party are taking lessons from this guy and how they're treating our elections. Oh, never mind. I better not talk about that or YouTube's going to throw me off again, right? So what will today bring? Right now, the futures are actually moving up, and it's actually pretty nice. The futures, they're moving up from this morning. They were up a little higher a minute ago, but the Dow is up. It's up 17 points. The S&P is up 6.25, and the Nasdaq is up 48. This morning when I got here, it was pretty bad. It was actually all negative. So it may not be so bad. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Russian trade status. So we all know that Russia invaded Ukraine, and if you didn't know, just ask Kamala Harris.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
I still want to know if she was talking to a kindergarten class when she did that. No, I know she wasn't. She was actually on the news talking to everybody. It's amazing, right? And of course, Biden, the one who picked her for this job, by the way, is moving to sever normal trade ties with Russia. I just can't get over that clip. All right, and he wants to ban imports of seafood, vodka, and diamonds, as joined by other countries in ratcheting up economic pressure on Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine. So basically, the U.S. wants to cancel Russia as a most favored nation. So this is what's really going on. So the first thing they want to do is they want to cancel Russia as a most favored nation. I realize you have never heard this expression or label before, so let me explain what it really means. A nation with the status most favored trade nation simply means that any tariffs for trade are equal in both countries. So if one nation, for example, trades clothing with a 15% tariff, then the returning nation can only charge a 15% tariff for that same category. So while all the news outlets yesterday were saying that you won't be able to buy Russian diamonds, Russian seafood, and Russian vodka from Russia, that isn't exactly true. I love it how people take a small piece of information and make it bigger, and that's what Basically, maybe we should have Kamala Harris describe that. Also, in order to change the trade status, it will take a vote of Congress. Now, I will tell you that the House is going to take that up next week, says the witch Pelosi. But I realize we do want to punish Russia, but seriously, is this going to work? All we're doing and saying is, yes, you can import goods from Russia, but you have to pay a higher tariff rate. The other option, which is what they really should do, or maybe consider doing, is to ban all goods from Russia, period. Once again, this is going to be a punishment to our country. So even Elon Musk's companies, such as Tesla and SpaceX, have been buying aluminum from Russia for many years, and the tariffs will add to the price of manufacturing the cars. But an all-out shutoff of aluminum flowing into the country may cause delays in manufacturing for Tesla and other companies. So this could be a problem. Think about this, right? We have so many people that need aluminum, we just can't supply it all. That might be a boost for Alcoa, by the way. So if this does happen, look for Alcoa stock to go up. And, as you know, it's basically a tangled web, and I still don't fully understand the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, but I know it's affecting the world and Russia in many negative ways. All right, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about whether Wells Fargo is racist or not.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from two Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse, about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse, and of course, if you'd like more information on investor schooling, you can go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829, 866-424-2829. Hey, I want to thank all your listeners on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia. And of course, if you're watching online, please hit that share button. Come on, guys, hit that share button. I just want to say hello to a couple of people online. I want to say hello to Dave and Bill and Mark and Mick and Lou. Thanks so much. I totally appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Lou is saying he's waiting on Peloton. I got several puts, and it's working because he's been listening to the show, and he knows that I've been saying that Peloton is going to be a disaster, and it really was. Hey, I want to say also hello to Jose and Ken and Barbara. Thanks, guys. I totally appreciate you watching. And don't forget, all you guys, hit that share button. Right now, I'm not going to say another word until you all hit that share button. Oh, I forgot I'm on the radio. I better say some words. All right, hit that like button. Also, let me know you enjoyed the show. And also leave comments on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I'll try to respond to them live. All right, so far we talked about the futures. And right now, the Dow is still up. It's up 9 points. The S&P is up 5. And the NASDAQ is up 51. We talked about Russian trade status and how, they're going to try to make it not a most favored nation status anymore. And that just means more tariffs. Coming up, let's talk about whether Wells Fargo is racist. And, of course, then we have today's picks and plays. But did you guys hit that like button? Did you guys hit that share button? You promised me. Don't forget to leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, be sure and set a preset to this station and listen every day at 7:30. Also, look up Money Chat Now on Facebook when you get home and let me know what you think about the show. All right, let's get into the second half and let's talk about what's going on. All right, let's talk a little bit about Wells Fargo. So, I got to tell you that sometimes I come across a Facebook post with news or a meme that says something, and I just have to roll my eyes in disbelief. Both disbelief that something could be true, but mostly because something is so dumb it can't possibly be true. Now, hold on before you guys think I'm waiting this. Well, the other day, I saw a post by one of my connections that said the following: Wells Fargo rejected half its black applicants in mortgage refinancing boom. Right away, my thought went to, oh, come on, stop with the crying racism already. Well, instead of saying that, I asked the person who posted a few questions. The first was, how would the underwriter even know if someone was black? They're just looking at a pile of paperwork and deciding based on the facts of the value of the home, the income, and the debt ratio of the buyer. They don't even see the applicant. Well, this of course started a flurry of comments explaining to me that every application for just about everything asks what race someone is. Ugh. Just like you probably would have, I responded with, this information is used by the government to make sure that the lenders are not discriminating. It isn't used by the underwriting process. Well, of course, that led to other comments, and I do have to say everyone was civil, but, finally I asked for the proof. One person sent me an article from, some website that was kind of like a off-the-wall website, but that made me actually be more skeptical. However, that article referenced a recent Bloomberg article, and that article is where the article that the other article was sourced from. So I decided to read both. Now, before I get into the article, I just want to tell you a little bit about my experiences with Wells Fargo. Now, look, Wells Fargo as a lender is the absolute worst bank to deal with. Occasionally, I actually use my real estate license to list properties for friends or to sell investment properties. And when a buyer comes to me with an offer and they say that they're going to use Wells Fargo Bank as a lender, I make a set of rules that said they will lose all their down payment money if Wells Fargo rejects the loan or delays the closing. And this has come from several experiences with people using Wells Fargo Bank, and they were all bad. Now, understand, this is just the lending side, this is the mortgage side. Another note about me is the fact that, hey, I am one of those people who believes racism is only real because we keep it alive. I was born in the 60s and I watched real racism unfold. Martin Luther King is actually one of my favorite motivational speakers, and I believe from the years of being exposed to his speeches and videos played every year to our class in grade school, I learned so much from this man, and I even believe that part of how I became a motivational speaker was because I watched these videos. I even wrote a tribute to the man on my website, and if you want to read it, it's at larrysteinhouse.com. So if you want to go there, go to larrysteinhouse.com. And finally, I believe people in groups of color. I only see people in groups of bad or good and gray in between. So with all this being said, it's time to dive into the Bloomberg article. The headline of the Bloomberg article disturbed me immediately, and let me repeat it. Wells Fargo rejected half its black applicants in mortgage refinancing boom. So the content in which this was written makes you believe that rejected people just because they were black. Now let's get into the article and see if it's true or not. So the first paragraph starts out with a story. Moss Ricard III paid a $560.43 application fee to Wells Fargo on Valentine's Day in 2020 to refinance his mortgage on a 4-bedroom brick colonial in a leafy suburb of Atlantic. He had every reason to expect it was an easy ride. The Microsoft engineer was married to a doctor and has a credit score of over 800, putting him in America's credit elite. The loan officer at the bank even told him he was probably eligible for something called a fast-track appraisal, and it didn't take long for problems to appear. Ricard's house, an investment property, remember it was an investment property, that used to be his home before he moved into another Atlanta suburb in 2017, is in a predominantly black neighborhood. And, and in April, the loan officer emailed that said perhaps the area is not eligible for a rapid valuation. By May, she was writing to say that the underwriter had more questions. Soon after, Ricard was told that he would have to pay a higher 4.5% interest rate, even though the Federal Reserve had slashed rates to historic lows. And within weeks, Wells Fargo had denied his application. They kept moving the needle, Ricard said. They didn't want to move forward for whatever reason. I have so many questions about this. All right, so I read those first two paragraphs, and right away I'm skeptical. But let's talk about it because I want to tell you where this is going. I have never seen a bank ask for an application fee up front. They ask for the application fee at closing, or they ask for maybe an appraisal fee, but not an application fee. So I don't understand this at all. The other part was Ricard's house was an investment property, and it was his home before he moved into a suburb. So investment properties, I'm going to tell you right now, are harder to finance. There's no doubt. The other thing is the loan officer emailed to say perhaps the area is not eligible for a rapid evaluation. You know, first of all investment properties are hard to refinance, but the second part troubled me. The loan officer emailed to say that perhaps the area is not eligible for rapid evaluation. This bothers me for two reasons. First of all, I've been an investor for 40 years, and I've never heard of the term rapid evaluation. Now, it might mean, what it probably means is a desktop appraisal, which many lenders use as a guide for the values of property, and frankly, I would be surprised if Wells Fargo ever uses this method because of how regulated they are. I don't know the other details of the loan, but with the little information given in the article, including the inconsistency of the application fee, I don't know why this loan was rejected. So far, I called foul. Now, one story and many inconsistencies has me calling foul, right? So, however, now let's get into this. The article actually mentions statistics from the Mortgage Disclosure Act, and this is what they found. And by the way, the Mortgage Disclosure Act uses, guess what? The information on the application section on race to create the data. So the data was as follows. Whites had 72% approval rating. Asians had a 67% approval rating. Hispanics had a 53% approval rating, and blacks were 47% approval rating. Now let's compare this to other banks, and you have, with other banks combined, you have an 87% approval rating for whites, 85 for Asian, 79 for Hispanic, and blacks was 71. So the first thing I noticed about this data is it confirms my attitude about how bad Wells Fargo Bank is as a lender. All around, their data shows that they approve less loans than the industry standard. So as far as Wells Fargo being a prejudiced bank, I have to say it may even appear that way. As I read the article, I'm not going to get into anything more, it really made a strong case. Now, in the Bloomberg article, it also said that Wells Fargo did not dispute the information, but it also says that in the article, Wells Fargo refused to comment about individual applicants and say they treat all borrowers the same. I'm going to tell you what my final thought is on this and the entire subject, and if we're all equal, then why are we even asking the question of race on the application? Take it off the application. Take it off every application. I'm tired of seeing it. Yeah, you know what? I actually started, and I suggest you too, I actually started to answer the question, however it is, not answering or none of your business, whatever the answer is. Because what does me being white have to do with anything? What does you being black have to do with anything? Stop answering the question. Stop putting it on applications. I remember the stories of property managers putting a C or other notations on an application to notate that the applicant was colored, and this was called racism. Why is a nice type question on any application referring to race not racist? Of course it is. Take it off the application. All right, let's take a break here while you look up LarrySteinhouse.com and read my article on Dr. King, and it's entitled Free at Last. Talk to you guys in a couple of minutes. Investor schooling needs a new slogan.
Investor schooling? Never heard of.
Investor schooling?
Never heard of.
Investor schooling? Never heard of them.
Any suggestions? Phil?
Investor schooling. We never heard of you either.
Investor Schooling. We never heard of you either. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. And of course, if you'd like more information on investor schooling, you can go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829, 866-424-2829. Did they take that off the application yet? Take it off! All right, so far we've been discussing, of course, the futures update. Right now, the Dow is actually zero. It's not up or down. It's actually zero. I don't think I've ever seen that in a long time. All right, the S&P is up 4 and the NASDAQ is up 37. We talked about the fact that the Russian trade status, they want to make it not preferred status, and we come to the conclusion that it's a possibility that Wells Fargo is racist, but we absolutely know that the question on the application is racist. So let's take that off. All right, don't forget, hit that like button, hit that share button, and you can also leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, set one of your presets to this station and listen every day at 7:30 for all you need to know about the politics behind the stock market. All right, let's talk about what is going on. So, as I said before, it was a head-scratcher yesterday, and today looks to be the same. I don't know. I wish the Fed would just announce the rate increase already and give us a break. But by the way, that's going to be this week. It'll be actually tomorrow. So that seems to be the only puzzle piece missing right now. I got to tell you, Apple right now is in my buy zone. I believe that below 150, it's a bargain. However, Meta has me worried now. I felt that below 200 would be great. However, the 185 range is making me a bit nervous, especially for my 220 calls. I'm going to have to wait this one out a few more weeks and make a decision whether I'm going to keep this or sell it at a loss, and instead of selling it at zero. So the market seems to be great for selling covered calls. So if you're into selling covered calls, this might be a good play for you to be. I grabbed a quick $3,000 yesterday selling covered calls on American Airlines and Carnival Cruise Lines, and both of these are undervalued stocks. I suggest you buy them. Tesla also is dropping, and I believe it's going to go below 500 shortly. Keep an eye on that because I really believe it's going to happen. And it could be a good short play or a good put play. And if you agree, go for it. All right. So right now, I just want to mention real quick that the futures are actually down now. The Dow is down 11. The S&P is down 1.25. And the NASDAQ is down 22. Hey, listen, don't forget to register for the event, 4mmw.com. You're going to see Doug Mastriano and Bill Spadia, some of my favorite people. So go to 4mmw.com and register for that event. And let's talk real quickly about the crypto scene. Bitcoin is moving down again, and it's at about 38,500. Ethereum is about 2,500, and I'm still looking for another 20% drop from here before any big moves. Gold and silver is also moving down. Hey, anybody with money out there, what are you doing? Where are you putting your money? Everything's moving down. And the Treasury bond is above 2.1. Maybe that's where they're putting their money. 2.25% will be the next move, and it'll be the problem for investors. So I'd be careful. I'd be watching that. Hey, don't forget, from time to time, I own some of the assets and options discussed in the show. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and you guys make it a profitable day.